We're back for another season, guys, of Inside the Lines, and we got the band back together. I'm joined by producers Zach Heiser and Hayden Gray, and as always, longtime friend and co-host Effie James. It's good to be back in here. It feels like home.
The whole band and everything's back together, man. I love this.
We started a week later this year, and that's on me. Last year we had one show during the preseason, but this year my wife and son and his girlfriend and I were all playing in the sand in Hawaii, so I take full responsibility for the late start. But I tell you what, it was I got to see a volcano erupt. I weathered a hurricane and swam with some. It was a full Hawaiian experience. And when you get to be men of our age, you got to start doing the things you have always dreamt about doing before you get too old to do them.
Isn't that the truth? I just want to be able one day, man. I'm gonna endure that long flight and save up enough coins, and I'm gonna make that trip.
You won't regret it, not at all. Let's dive into it here. But before the season started last week. But before we get into that, I think it would be remiss if you and IF didn't pay our respects. The North Central Ohio coaching fraternity lost a friend over the summer with the sudden and unexpected passing of Andrew Saris, Lexington's football coach. And we're not going to dive into all the details. I don't think this is the time or the place for that. But if there's any lesson to be learned from that, it's just to tell the people that you care about the most just how you feel about them, because you never know when it's going to be too late.
Well, and it's always tough. Tragedies are always tough when it comes to family, but football is an extended family, and being involved with sports and high school sports, and as long as we both have, we understand how families extend. So, condolences to his immediate family, but also, speaking with Coach Owens and some of the players, it's I really feel for his school, the community, and his football family as well. So. I know that was a tremendous blow to them, and just the few times that I did get a chance to talk with him, just a quality guy.
Yeah,
and it certainly was a blow.
And after Gioke Bradley retired at Mansfield Senior, I would say Andrew was the guy in that coaching fraternity that I felt the closest to, and maybe I wish I would have told him that, and had the opportunity to do that. It's. And I talked to Jacob Owens, who was named to replace Andrew this summer. He's a guy that played for you at Mansfield Senior. Mm-hmm. There's no plays in the playbook for any of this. I mean, they are navigating some tough waters here, and that's you just got to kind of figure it out as you go, I guess.
Yeah, and I think Jacob and his staff are doing the right things. They're doing the best they can. They're and like you said, they're just taking it day by day. There is no playbook, but they're taking care of the kids. They're being mindful of the family, and that's the way to do it.
Sure.
That is the exact way to do it. And, whatever comes from day to day, they're supporting one another. And that's how you handle grief, because it comes at you in waves. So, me personally, and I think I can speak for everyone here, we certainly support the Lexington family and their football family as well.
Absolutely. And I had the opportunity to cover that game last week. Lexington was at Ontario, and it kind of segues into the start of the season here. But I mean, I asked Jacob afterwards, and Ontario won pretty handily. But I asked Jacob, I said, wasn't this just kind of therapeutic for your kids to be on a football field playing football and not thinking about all the other things? And he said, absolutely, it was good for him just to get out there.
Yeah, and one of the things it has to be, and one of the things I asked him about was, how tough was it, or is it, to not only get back out, but you having to coach and then having a challenge, and I'm thinking about it from a coach's perspective. Sure. Because now I got to challenge my guys. Right. You know what I mean? We're going through this tough time, but I still got to coach you. I still got to challenge you. I still got to, hold you accountable. I still got to do all those things that we do as coaches to get you ready to play on Friday night. But like I said, I know he's doing the right things because, like he said, he's listening to his players, he's listening to his coaches, and they're taking care of their kids, and they're doing things the right way.
Right. And Ontario won that game 35-7. That's the game I covered. Ontario, they have a lot of talent, a lot of speed. To be sure, they are kind of unsettled at the quarterback position. They played a couple different guys. Sean Tanner's a kid who played the last 2 years at Mansfield Senior. He transferred to Ontario. He was their starter. They went to Gavin Miller. And it's a 2-quarterback system. I don't know if we have any feelings about a 2-quarterback system. It's I don't know if there's 2 quarterbacks. Is there any quarterback? I guess is the question. And Hayden, I know you covered a game down in Delaware where you kind of in the same spot down there. It was Hayes and Buckeye Valley, and they're both kind of unsettled at that spot.
Yeah, they I don't know a ton about either of those teams coming into the season, but was able to speak with a few people on the sidelines down there that cover them on a more regular basis. And yeah, both teams with a couple of younger guys. At Hayes, they've got a junior and a freshman who traded some reps, and for Buckeye Valley, kind of similar situation. But they were both run-heavy teams too, so that helps a little bit.
Sure.
But yeah.
In fact, there's no quarterback controversy at Hillsdale. They are the two-time defending state runner-up in Division 7, and they got a quarterback who's there for this 3rd year. I mean, he looked the part. I mean, Dale Lewis is a kid we'll probably have in here down the road, but he and his brother put on a show last week.
Yeah, there's no tight end controversy either. his brother Knox and Kale, they connected on 3 touchdowns.
Right.
Mason Sloan, so the younger brother Owen.
Owen's another kid we had in here, yeah.
So he's coming up, so it's like just keeping it in the family in Hillsdale. And they look pretty good. After Coach Trevor Klein was kind of like, that's not us. We were a little sloppy, and that's going to happen on week 1 when you lose a bunch of seniors the year before.
Right.
And they're also bumping up from D7 to D6, which really won't matter until the postseason, correct?
Right.
So that'll be an interesting challenge this year, see if they can get back to state again.
And F, you made the trip down south, right? You were in Morrow County for Highland or Fredericktown at Highland.
Yeah.
I mean, that Fredericktown team was a pretty darn good team last year. I don't know if that's a testament to what Highland has done here recently, or more about what Fredericktown lost. But it was just talk us through that one.
Well, it was an interesting dynamic. Highland going 3-7 the last 2 years.
Right.
So I really didn't know what to expect coming in, but they. It looks like Coach Stover has decided, their team has, they've decided, look, we're going to be different. Things are going to be different this year. And Fredericktown, who came in and who had beat them the previous 2 years, just couldn't get anything going. And I credit that to, Highland really playing well and controlling the line of scrimmage, but really their players executed really well, and they were prepared to play. So I gave a lot of credit to Coach Stover and Coach Spittler and Fredericktown. They'll get it together. It was, it looked like game 1 for them, where for Highland it looked like they were just a step ahead.
Right.
They were just a step ahead. So I think both teams will be fine. But I was really impressed with what the Scots done on Friday night.
Right. And I don't think any of us would be surprised if Fredericktown finds itself in the hunt for a Knox-Morrow Athletic Conference championship. Meanwhile, the defending KMAC champs, opened the season with a 35-14 win over Utica. Quarterback Carter Wagner made his first start. He replaced first-team All-Ohioan Blaine Ball, and all Wagner did was complete 11 out of 13 passes for 320 yards and 3 touchdowns. One of those touchdown passes went to this week's guests. He had 3 catches for 70 yards, and he also had a pretty eventful offseason. We will get to that. He's our first repeat guest and a friend of the program. That's senior tight end Jackson Ballinger. Jackson, welcome back to the studio.
It's great to be back. Thank you guys for having me.
We are thrilled to death to have you, and we got a lot to get to with you. But before we do that, let's take a moment here to thank our sponsor, Graham Auto Mall. Whether you're cruising in for a new ride or keeping your current one in top shape, Graham Auto Mall has you covered. Shop a huge selection of new and pre-owned vehicles or trust their expert service team to keep you on the road. If you're in the market for a vehicle, stop by Graham at 1515 West 4th Street in Mansfield or visit GrahamAutomall.com. Graham Auto Mall, your hometown dealer. And Jackson, like we said, it was an eventful off season for you. Let's start there. You made your college decision, and I don't want to step on your toes here. Tell us where you're going and how you reached that decision.
Yeah, so I committed to the University of Florida in late February. About this time, last time I was in here, I probably couldn't even give you a top list just because it was all over the place.
Sure.
Especially during the season. Probably looked way different than what it ended up being at the end of the year. But January, kind of was narrowing it down to a couple schools. Took a visit to Florida at the end of January with the new staff, which is definitely not typical to commit to a new staff that early.
Right.
But I think that just is a testimony to how well put together they are and how Coach Summerall can run a program down there. Had good relationships with the tight end coach and, like I said, Coach Summerall, Coach Buster Faulkner. In January, just through that 1 month of time, got down there, met them all in person, was able to see a morning run, but they do a thing called the Gauntlet, which is super intense, but run by the strength coach, Rusty Witt. He's been all over the place, been military. He followed Coach Summerall around at a few school stops as well. So got to see them put the guys through one of those, which coming with a bunch of transfers and people that graduated just literally a month before and got back there. Just the freshmen and all the transfers there. It was kind of for the first morning run in the Gauntlet. It was all over the place, but they picked it up really fast. I came back for a visit in the spring after I committed, and they had it all together. But between that time, I spent a lot of time praying and thinking about it, talking to my family, and I figured Florida was a place for me. But flashback, year before, it was spring practice my sophomore year, and went down there, fell in love with the place. It was different coaching staff,
Right.
But still fell in love with the culture of Florida. And even flashback to before that, I was reaching out to some schools, reached out to Florida, and I didn't know anything about Florida, so I looked up what the facility is like, the program, all that stuff, and just looking at it before I even had an offer or anything, I'm like, that's where I want to go. And it just sounds like made up story, but it really was a dream come true to go to a school like that. And I always wanted to play in the South, so all those factors kind of played a part in picking my decision. But at the end of the day, the family piece, I mean, you guys were talking earlier about how much family means to you guys and how football is a family. I felt that when I was down there, all the staff from the nutrition to strength, academic, and even Coach Summerall down, really just a family vibe. And they have their families in the building all the time. The staff just feels like my home away from home, and that was the biggest piece I was looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what you're looking for. I mean, that's what you hope a kid is looking for. I mean, because things change, but if you feel comfortable, that's the biggest piece of the puzzle. I would think.
Yeah, if you're feeling comfortable and you can feel like, one of the things I tell students when they're visiting colleges is like, can you see yourself here? And it is a place where you feel like you can grow and you're comfortable in a space where, and what I tell my athletes is this a space where you can feel comfortable if you're not playing?
Right.
That's the gauge for me. Not, everybody would love it when you're out there and you're playing every night, but is this a space where you can feel comfortable if you are not necessarily playing every week? And when there's that family atmosphere and people are around and you're getting along with coaches and you've built those relationships, that certainly makes it easier. So, that's how you make your choice, not necessarily on name recognition all the time.
Right. Who else was on was there a short list? Who else was on the short list?
So I didn't make a trip out like I wanted to at the end of my recruitment, because typically guys take their OVs and then they make the decision.
Right.
But if I would have had to take OVs to other schools, that would have been Indiana, Stanford, and Washington, which is kind of all over the place. Totally different schools, totally different styles of play, and totally different cultures coming all over the country. But it's just I had the best relationships with those staffs at the end of the day. But when it came down to it, like I said, like Florida really separated itself from that.
Yeah. So the Hoosiers weren't, I would imagine, with what they've been doing here the last couple of years, that would absolutely be all of a sudden, Indiana was an afterthought for a lot of years in football, but what they've accomplished here in the last few years, that has kind of put them on the map a little bit.
Sure, I think for everybody. I wonder, Jackson, when you think about your time in the the league that you're playing now, has it ever concern you, especially early on in your recruiting? Did you ever think about the fact, like, man, I'm coming from essentially what is a small school league? Did you ever think about, man, can I what is this leap going to be like for me? What is it going to be like for me to jump from this league to Power 5 school? You know, is that something that ever concerned you? Did you ever think about that? What were your thoughts about moving to a Power 5 type of college? And did you ever question yourself whether you were prepared or going to be prepared for that move?
Yeah, and I think that goes back to the beginning of whether it'd even be possible to get recruited from a small school like that. And it is a challenge, but it had been done before. And actually at Centerburg, it was done by my Uncle Doug. He was the only other person to go Power 4 at Centerburg. So kind of cool to be the second one after him. But I think the talent-wise, I mean, it is a really underrated conference. I think a lot of Ohio overlooks the KMAC, but you see teams in and out making deep runs in the playoffs and sending guys to I mean, not necessarily – it doesn't have to be Power 4, but they're sending guys to colleges all over the place that are extremely competitive. So, and week in and week out, I'm always playing really good guys. And, I mean, so far this year, I mean, we scrimmaged Columbus Academy. They have an amazing DN that's going to Indiana. I've played Utica week 1. They have a really tough quarterback in there. So I'm playing guys that are really high caliber each week. But as for preparing myself for that jump to Power 5 where everybody's a dude, that's just – trusting my training. I'm still constantly getting coached by my coaches at Centerburg, which are very, very strong coaching staff. And then I'm also getting coached by my tight end coach at Florida just through the phone. And all the times that I've been there, I've been up on the whiteboard talking ball with him. That's one of the things that's like the biggest thing with him. He came for a home visit and was immediately on the whiteboard in my house drawing up plays. So I was already doing that, and he had me in the living room like working blocking drills and stuff. So it was super awesome like that. So I trust my training, and I've been preparing for this since my dad had me in the weight room in elementary. So I'm just going to trust myself, and I know it's a leap. But tight end's a developmental position, and I think even if I'm behind because I haven't played guys necessarily that you would at like Cardinal Mooney in Florida or Buford or any of those bit larger high schools across the country, I mean, I am still going to have the work ethic to surpass those guys.
Well, and I say that, Curt, because I agree, and I think that, you know, it's about, you know, the work that you put in individually, and you know, and I think that the competition that you play is, you know, just a byproduct of, you know, they play hard, you play hard, but what else? And I ask my athletes this all the time. Everybody practices, but what else are you doing? What else are you doing to prepare yourself? If you want to play next level, what else are you doing to play next level? So it's about you personally. What else are you doing to prepare yourself for the next level? So that's what it's more about, not necessarily who you're playing against from week to week.
Right.
Exactly.
And you talked a little bit about it. I mean, there's been some coaching changes down there, but it was Billy Napier. He was probably the guy that staff was recruiting you, and he was let go midseason last year, and then they had an interim coach, and now they got a new coach. And I mean, is it like starting over with a new coaching staff? I mean, how was that?
Yeah, so I think something that Coach Summerall did that was huge benefit in my recruiting process is he kept all of the support staff outside of the coaches and strength coaches. So all the recruiting ladies from the top, Miss Katie, she runs a strict program over there, and she has everything you could ever need in front of you, and it's so organized, and she has her full team of a bunch of amazing recruiting girls that are either student assistants or graduates, and they run a really good shift over there. So I've known all of them since I originally started getting recruited. So that was a nice bridge over into the new staff.
Okay.
And then it was a jump. I liked Coach Calloway and I liked Coach Napier before. But Coach Summerall came in and Coach McKissick came in. And I like to tell this story. The first time I had contact with Coach McKissick, he's the tight end coach, just if I haven't said that already. He sent me a text out of the blue, random number. It's just a GIF of some dude just like nodding his head, and then that's all he sent. And I'm like, "Who's this?
Who's this coming from?"
Yeah, and then he said something about he's like first play of week 13, stiff arm or something like that. And then from that point on, I mean, it was uphill. So I think it's just a testimony to the people that they were able to get. I think we ended up. I mean, now that the 27 recruiting class is kind of coming to an end, I think we're top. I think we're 8 in the country in a recruiting class. So I think a new staff being able to pull that off is just a huge testimony to the person on the head, Coach Summerall, and the amazing staff, everybody working together underneath him.
And John Summerall's resume speaks for itself. He was at Tulane last year, got him into the college football playoff. I mean, if there's going to be a coaching change, I guess that's not such a terrible place to find yourself with a coach who has led a team with a track record, I guess.
Yeah, and you got to love having coaches that are developers, man. And I believe in that. I believe in coaches that are developers and skill developers and player development. And sometimes I can get lost in today's college football, just, developing players and bringing them in, developing them into their best version of themselves. And sometimes you want to bring them in as is and expect them to be great. And if they're not, bring in another guy who's going to be, you know what I mean?
Look for the next transfer.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But the truth is, if you don't have that, skill development as part of who you are as a coach, I just don't think you can be as successful.
Right.
So, and that's who this staff sounds like they're going to be. And I can just see them being successful there.
So your commitment day, did you have like a ceremony or anything like that? Or did you just pretty much call the coaches and say, I'll be in Gainesville next year?
Yeah, I've never been a real flashy guy. I didn't put out a top 4 school list. I didn't I didn't flip the hats and pretend to put all the different hats on and
Right.
stuff. So no, it was crazy. I had it was Monday night. I was out at the school lifting with my dad and sister out there, and I get a call, and it's Indiana, and he's talking about getting me on an OV, and he was like, "You're one of our top tight ends. Like, I really want you to get over here." And that was, I already made up in my mind I was gonna commit to Florida. So I'm like, man, why did this have to happen now? And then I get home, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I made up my mind. I'm not gonna let this change my mind last second.
Sure.
And again, like, Indiana was an amazing school, amazing program. I love what they're doing over there. So nothing is a strike to them. They got a lot of great things going on over there, but I already made up my mind. So I got home. I had talked to Coach McKissick a week before and said, I'm getting close to committing. I would like to talk to a few other people on staff about what my outside life would look like. And I think the reality of it is there's NIL. And there's opportunities like that, and then who else is coming in my class and all this other stuff, which I never a lot of guys go up front and ask NIL right away. That's their first conversation, which that's something Coach McKissick liked about me in specific. And the other tight end we have in our class, that we both kind of are not flashy guys. That's not really, money wasn't our first thing that we were looking for.
Right.
So about a week before I committed, I called him and was just, hey, I'm not going to fight for money or anything. I just want to make sure I'm taken care of, because reality of it is it's a business, so I want to be, I want to have my part of the side too. But So flash forward back to commitment day, call Coach McKissick. He already kind of knows what's up, so he's super hype. And then call Coach Summerall, and he's on the way home from some boosters meeting or something like that, and he's in the car and he's all fired up too. And at that time, I was the second commit in the class, so it was pretty fresh, as well. So he was super excited. Next day, I haven't told anybody in my family, so I'm just going through school. I'm like, man, this is like gonna be crazy. Get home, it was really cold. It's February, so it was really cold. So I was out in the hot tub, and I was like, all right, I'm about to post this. So it was kind of funny. I posted my commitment picture like in the hot tub. That sounds bad. Not a picture of me in the hot tub, but I posted the commitment graphic and shut my phone off until like 9 p.m. at night, because I had to go to track practice, and like people were talking to me at track practice about all that stuff, and turned my phone back on, and it's like 500 notifications, and it was such a blessing though to have all that, and ended up I had to do some like homework that night too, which made it terrible, and then I ended up hopping on a interview at like almost 11 o'clock at night, just from the 24/7 team for Florida. Talked to them a little bit and was answering all these like interviews through my DMs and stuff. So it was a night.
Is it? How big of a relief was it to make that decision? Did you feel pressure even if you didn't necessarily feel the pressure, and did that kind of all go away once that decision was made?
Yeah, I think there's naturally pressure. I didn't believe people. They said it's going to pick up. You're going to be slammed. You're not going to know what to think. I didn't believe that until about this time last year.
Right.
I mean, because June 15th hit. Summer was a lot, but I mean, it was summer, so I was free all the time. But then I had school. I had my own practice. We were preparing each week for teams, and I was watching film all the time. And then I had all these coaches calling me. I mean, there was times I was getting like 100 texts a day. I mean, it was insane for a minute. And then once I kind of started telling schools, like, I just want to be up front. You're not going to make my top couple schools. They died off a little bit, which was a really hard text to send. And
I'm sure.
Definitely on the commitment day, I forgot to add this, but I had to sit down and call like 5 coaches that were my 5 favorite coaches outside of Florida, and those were very tough calls.
Oh, I can't imagine doing that as a 50-year-old man, let alone as an 18-year-old. That's a big lift right there, buddy.
And Jackson was telling that story about, being offered to come to a commitment, and I'm literally in awe of the maturity level of you as a young man, because I'm thinking of myself and Jokey and I on a much lower level. We had just committed to Bowling Green, and we're like, hey, we're going to Bowling Green, sweet. And so we get a call from, I forget the name of the Kent State coach at the time, but Kent State was awful at the time, but they wanted us to do an official visit. Now, there's no social media, at least not at this time, so nobody really knows that we're going to Bowling Green other than the people around us. And we're like, hey, you want to do an official visit? It's an overnight, hang out with the team.
Okay.
Like, sure. So we go on the official visit, and we go and we hang out with the team. All the guys are like, don't come here. We hang out in Kent State. We go out and party, and official visits were we're not going to talk about that. But the visits was this and that. We stay overnight. The next morning, we meet with the head coach. The head coach gets us in the office. Jokey and I are sitting there, and he says, I hear you both are committed to Bowling Green. And we're like, what? He's like, I think we're going to call Coach Blackney, who's the head coach at Bowling Green. We'll call him right now and see what he thinks about you guys being here. And you talking about dying. And Coach Farrar, I'll never forget it, the guy who recruited us both. I mean, he was so mad at us, and we were. But again, it just speaks to the difference in maturity. We had no clue what that. I mean, we knew what the commitment meant, but it was like, do you really mean we can't do anything else? We're going to college, but I'm really impressed with the maturity level, man, because for us, the commitment was like, hey, we'll be there. We'll be there when football starts. We're going to hang out and have fun, but it really meant a lot it means a lot to these colleges, and to be able to call those coaches and that invest a lot in recruiting young men. And it is a lot. It's an investment into these young players. So for those young players to give them that respect and say, hey, I appreciate your efforts. I just decided to go another way. That, that means a lot. That absolutely means a lot to those coaches, I'm sure.
In the recruiting process, I mean, and we mentioned it just briefly in passing, but is NIL a conversation that happens now with recruiters? I mean, what do they tell you about that?
Yeah, I think one thing about Florida is that they, even in the transfer portal, with guys that they really wanted to bring back to Florida and guys that they wanted out of the transfer portal, they were saying, we want guys that want to be Florida Gators. We don't want guys that are only here for the money. And that was like kind of what I said. Like, that's part of the reason why they liked me, is because like that's not something I was really looking and talking about in my conversations. Right. But that does happen a lot of times, and I've had other schools come to me, and that's the first thing they say to me. And that, I mean, as a 17-year-old kid who's never had any idea of money in his life, I mean, like, obviously that's going to be tempting to somebody, but
sure.
You also got to stay true to your morals, and like, would I enjoy the next 5 years of my life at the school? Will I get better? Will I be developed as a man? Will I be all this stuff? But Coach McKissick told me some stories about guys that he called up around the time that he called me up in January, because he still had a list of 10 or so guys that he was trying to get, just because a little bit behind the recruiting train,
sure,
just because they started so late. And some of the guys just right off the rip were just like, how much are you going to offer me if it's not this? I'm not interested, which is like crazy. And he he's an old school guy. He played football, and he started his coaching career pretty early as well, and so he's been through it when there was no NIL and all
Sure.
this stuff. So it's just kind of still crazy to him about all the NIL, but
Right.
he stays out of it, and it is straight to the front office, which is ran by Mr. Caldwell, and he and the rest of the staff have been NFL places before.
Right.
So it's ran like an NFL program in like that sort of way. So it's all taken care of by them.
If it's for old timers like us, I mean, it's the landscape is hardly recognizable in college
No,
football.
sure.
I mean, these teams have general managers, like college teams have GMs now because they have to, and you got to have guys who, are tracking the deals that these kids are getting, and it's a strange new world.
It's interesting to me though, because I am old school in that way, but I agree. The money that's generated by these young men,
Right.
I think they had to do something.
Yeah.
We're talking about billions of dollars being generated by the college football apparatus. I mean, they had to do something. So, do I think they're eventually going to have to develop some more guardrails? Sure, and
Right.
all of that, but they have to do something. The money that they're creating from these young men and their talent. I think they had to do something, and I think what they're doing, to be honest, is fair. I was, years before it came about, I was about the fact that young men should be able to make money off their name, image, and likeness. Now, I never thought that the schools should get involved.
Right.
That was my stance. I never think or have thought the schools should ever be involved in it. My stance was that they should not stop young men, because at one point, you couldn't even have a job.
Right.
You had a scholarship, that was it. You could not make money or anything. My thing was, let the kid, if he's famous, even if he's locally famous at his Division II school, and the local car dealership wants to do an ad with him and they want to pay him, let him.
Right.
That's fair. There's nothing wrong with that. That was my stance. Or his jersey sale goes on sale and he's at Southwestern Eastern University and people want to buy his jersey, he should get some money for that.
Right.
That was my stance on it, because the apparatus just makes too much money off these young men in order for them not to profit any, especially where a lot of the situations a lot of these young men come from. And then where after they're done playing, a lot of them go back.
Right.
Most of them. And I think the misconception is that so many of these young men, when they're done playing, they go to the pros. Well, the numbers say most of them go back home.
Right.
No matter how much we talk about all of them getting the opportunity to go, most of them go back home. There is a small percentage of college athletes that go on to be professional athletes. So most of them go back home. So I think that, as old school as I am, I still think the NIL model is right. Now, do we still need to tweak it some and make some changes and put some more guardrails where it is now? Sure. But I think the model and the prospect of what we're doing is the right way.
Right. Do you have an agent? Are you allowed to have an agent? How's that work now? I mean, is it something?
That's something I never thought I would have to get into.
I never thought you would either.
Do.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
You do.
And I mean, there's kids that are like 14 years old that have agents,
Yeah.
and it's absolutely insane. I do have somebody helping me out, but it's just more casual and just reviewing the contract.
Mhm.
And if there is an opportunity outside of football that he can help me out with, that's more so what that is. And just getting a team of people to help me out, like a financial advisor, an accountant, and then him, which is like the label of an agent, just to be able to better or just put me in the best situation that I can, and I just go play football. But I never had an agent in my money debating time, just because it wasn't that important to me that I needed to bargain for more money or any of that kind of stuff, which that's where most people use an agent. And you see on TV and on the news, like so-and-so's agent is in conversation with whatever school to get more money. So I never had that, but I do have that team of people like that are trying to help me outside of football.
Yeah, and it's so much about trust.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I know, agents have become a necessary part of the business, and that's what it is. But I think in so many circumstances, it's still about getting a person that you trust. And I like the way you talk about it. It's more about getting someone who can advise you financially is more important at this stage than anything else. Someone that can help you make the right decisions as it relates to your finances or financial decisions, and then who can look at certain contracts and paperwork and say, okay, that is right for you. But even that person has to be somebody that you trust.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's right for you. That's good for you in this situation. So right now it's more about getting someone that you trust. Fortunately or unfortunately, as you move on, it's going to get more and more business. You know what I mean? It's going to be more and more about business. And even then, you're going to have to find people that are more legally, savvy, but still you're going to have to be able to trust them. And that's the world that we live in. But I still say it's worth it, because your talent and the work that these young men have put in, specifically you have put in, I want to go as far as say they owe it to you, but I do. When you think about a school like Florida or Ohio State or any of those schools, a young man like you that comes into their school, forget their football team, their institution. You come into their institution, you increase their value. And that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. A young man like you who comes into their institution, you increase the value of their institution. And people don't talk about the money that makes them, because a young man like you is on their campus, that increases the value of their institution. So on the flip side of that, our young people have to learn, we have to get people around us that we can trust, that are knowledgeable about financial, and help
Right.
them make the right decisions, so they, when football does come to an end, whether it's sooner or later, that they're in a place where they're better off for their families. And that's always been my concern when I talk to my athletes.
Right. So what's your timeline look like? Are you gonna graduate early and be off to school? I mean, have you made that decision yet?
Yep. I'm gonna move-in day is January 10th, and we're in there.
That's that's not too far down the road here. I mean, is it
getting close.
hard to wrap your head around that? I mean, you got 4 months left here, basically.
Yeah, I'm obviously cherishing the moment, but I've always been looking forward to the day that I could go move on and start that part of my life. And
Okay.
It is kind of getting like really real recently, because we're like thinking about we got a list going of what I'm gonna need in my apartment down there. So it's kind of getting a little crazy, because I spent 18 years of my life living up here with my family, and then just like that, I graduate high school and I'm in Florida and I have an income and I have a house to take care of.
Right.
And it's crazy.
Is it? I mean, some kids, and I don't think there's a right or a wrong. Some kids are homebodies. They like. Are you a kid who's gonna get homesick once you get down there? Or do you feel pretty confident that you're just gonna kind of settle in and then just get ready for that next chapter?
Yeah, I think everyone's going to get homesick, and
Sure.
I'm obviously, I have I'm blessed with amazing home life and family that loves me, so I'm obviously going to miss them a lot. But something that my parents and family as a whole has been really great about throughout this whole process is they said they don't care about the distance, where I am, however hard it is to get to that place. They don't want me to have to worry about coming home. They're going to visit me, and they are more excited for me to. The feeling of them being excited for me to start that phase of my life and have that success is way greater than them being sad that I'm leaving. It's just it's more joy for them than it is regret or anything like that.
Right. Let's rewind here a little bit. I mean, your recruitment really started your sophomore year is when things really kind of picked up for you. What first offer was Miami of Ohio maybe? Or
Yeah, it was like spring of my freshman year.
Oh, was it really that early? What's it like as a 14-year-old to hear a college coach, a Division I college coach, say, "We would love to have you come play football for us in 4 years"?
It was weird. I had no idea what it meant. I always wanted to play football. I didn't know it would ever get this big for me. I was fortunate enough. I signed up for Miami, Ohio's mega camp, which has schools all the way from Indiana was there all the way down to a D3 school in Ohio.
Sure.
So that was going to be my starting point. I was going to judge my kind of range based off that. And I went to a Toledo spring practice and then a visit to Bowling Green with my head coach, offensive coordinator, my dad, and my defense coordinator. And then I don't know if you remember Trevin Harris.
Mm-hmm.
He graduated a few years ago. We all went up there because he was kind of getting recruited, Mac, a little bit his junior and senior year. So we all went up to Toledo and Bowling Green and visited up there. I was able to post it on my Twitter. And, I mean, Twitter is everything now.
Right.
That's the entire thing. So Miami, I'm assuming, saw they had their rivals recruiting a kid and they didn't know who he was. And they probably looked on the camp chart and they're like, hey, we want you to come to spring practice. So I ended up going to the spring practice, no idea what I was doing. Got there, dude comes over, he pulls they spell your name right, just to see if, like, who I was, just to look at my name tag, and he said, just stand over here. I want to say Coach Martin, he's the head coach at Miami.
I'm not real sure who it was then or who it is now, to tell you the truth. But
I want to say that's his name.
Okay.
Sorry. And he came over, and I want to say Coach Chuck Martin.
Okay.
Comes over and talks to me, and he said, hey, keep it on the down low because we're not going to offer everybody here, but we want to offer you. And I was like, thank you. And he walks away, and I looked at my mom, and I'm like, what does that mean?
What just happened?
Yeah, because my mom.
For me, what?
Yeah.
It is Chuck Martin, by the way.
It is.
I fact checked it.
Okay.
So shout out
Okay.
Chuck.
All right, there we go. He I don't know if he's still there, but at that time he'd spent like 10 years there, so that's pretty rare to have a coach stay at a program that long. My mom, we had a good relationship with the Lichtenbergs. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. Brady Lichtenberg, he went to a school in Toledo, and had a brother, Blake.
Okay.
Brady went to Cincinnati. Blake was a PWO at Miami.
Okay.
And their dad, and their whole family has been in college football forever. So we were talking to them, and we were like, is there anything we should know before we come down here to Miami? What's going to happen? What's kind of the setup going to look like? And they said something about an offer, and they were like, I doubt it's going to happen on your first visit. So we didn't really think anything of it. And my mom was like, that's what Bubba said. Like, he said it was an offer. And I'm like, what does that mean? So we don't know. And we go the rest of the visit, and I don't know whether to be excited or if it's just like a normal day. And end up going out to eat afterwards with my family, and we kind of do some research on it. And I mean, it was like it was an offer. It was a scholarship offer, and I was like, wow, like I want to commit here now. And just because it was such a surreal experience, I was so excited. And I didn't know if I had to commit in 2 weeks or if I had 2 years.
Right.
Because, I mean, I was so new to the process. I didn't have anybody at Centerburg in front of me, really, that was getting recruited like that to look after or follow, and no one in my family, really anybody that I knew. So it was all new to me and my family, and it's kind of crazy looking back at then to now that I could just myself go help an entire family get recruited.
I would imagine if it's surreal to get an offer from the MAC when the SEC and the
Right.
Big Ten come calling a couple, about a year, not even a year later, right?
Well, I went to a Kentucky camp like a month later and got an offer, and that was surreal.
I would think that. I mean, man, that's when it really starts to kick up, is when those schools start knocking on your door.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I one of the things I wonder is, we talk to players a lot about, it seems like now it's just a given that, kids that are getting recruited and going to the Power 4 schools, they're leaving early, they're graduating. Did you give any thought to graduating with your class at all? Or was it just a foregone conclusion that, hey, if I'm going to one of these schools, I'm gonna have to leave early? Yeah,
it was back then. I mean, I know it's always been kind of common, but back then it wasn't something that like all the coaches were like, we're going to have you down here in January.
Right.
Back then it was still an option for me,
Right.
especially because they didn't know if I was going to be one of the top guys in the class or if I was just going to be an extra guy that they liked on the roster. So it never really was a question for me until probably my into my sophomore year. Like, what's the plan? We're trying to put the roster together. Are we going to need are we going to need you ready for January, or are we going to get you in June? But then once I started making that decision, it was clear to me that I wanted that extra off season of development, learning this offense, putting on. I mean, they put weight on you, good weight on you, really fast too. Sure. And then spring ball is insanely important to your development because you're in pads going against guys, and you're getting your welcome to college football moment out in spring ball like that.
Another season,
yeah.
Sure.
That sophomore year, I mean, you guys go, you win a playoff game on the road. I mean, what did that do for you guys as a program? Because playoff wins they don't come along every year, and it had probably been a while since I didn't do my research on that in that regard. But I mean, playoff history at Centerburg has not, been, you haven't played deep into the playoffs in the past. But to go on the road and get a win as a young guy, I would imagine that kind of opened your eyes a little bit.
That was I got asked this question, like, what was my favorite moment in my career of football, and that game was it. And I think I talked about it last time I was here, actually.
Is that right?
The Eastern Reedsville game. So the year before we went 4-6, kind of rough year.
Right.
And then the year before that, I think we got knocked out first round.
Okay.
Too. So, and like you said, Centerburg historically has not been an amazing playoff team. We'll have really good runs here and there, but not consistently making it into the deep rounds. So we had that in mind. We want to be, I can't remember, that might be fourth team in school history at that point to win a playoff game in general.
Right.
So we took the charter bus, went down there. As a sophomore, it was a surreal experience because I was playing varsity as a sophomore. So, I mean, I'm still 2 years behind the seniors and all that stuff. Get down there. I had the game of probably one of the best games of my life. I got player of the game.
Okay.
And they had this, it looked like a college game day setup, and I got interviewed on there, and it was so surreal. And everybody was super excited. Next week we went to Northmore, and we had a whole parade out for the second week of the playoffs, which was super, super cool. The community was really into it. I think as a program-wide, or as of the program side of things, and then just the community side of things, I think that really pushed us in the positive direction. Like, we're gonna make a new culture here at Centerburg. We've had the same families and coaching staff and all this stuff, but from this point on, we're gonna make winning a culture. And the year after that, we won KMAC, and then we got a bye week 1, won week 2, and then took a loss in week 3 in the playoffs, or round 3 in the playoffs. But we're looking to make another run this year. I think that's just the standard now, is to win in the playoffs.
And last year, you had a pretty big season individually. You were a third-team All-Ohio, and you don't strike me as a guy who's chasing postseason awards, but it's probably nice to still be recognized, right? To earn a spot on those All-Ohio teams, is it still kind of a big deal for you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you said, I haven't really been all into the postseason awards or the rankings and stuff, and nowadays for college football wise, like recruit wise, you got to go to all the camps to get the stars and the rankings, and that probably has taken a hit on my ranking if you really think about it. But that doesn't bother me that much. And the postseason awards, it was super amazing to get recognized All Ohio. We have a wall in Centerburg for all the people that got All Ohio, and I've always, since I was came into middle school, I've always wanted to be up on that wall. So that was really cool. Which, side note, I think they're taking that wall down, which is really frustrating. But
don't take that wall.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's the first thing I look at when I walk into Pete Henry Gym. You walk in at Mansfield Senior, and everybody's up on that wall. Well, that kind of brings us to this year. You guys knew you had to replace Blaine Ball, who was a first-team All-Ohio quarterback last year. Carter comes in, and he was, like you said, a defensive player for you last year, but limited offensively what he was able to do and the snaps that he took. Where was your confidence level for him in the preseason, and where is it now after he throws for 300 yards? How's that kind of evolved here in just a short period of time?
Yeah, you would think for a guy not having that many reps, you wouldn't be as confident into him until he performs in a game. But I thought Carter could have been our guy last year alongside Blaine. So I think I have had that trust in him since last year. At practice, he was still playing quarterback, and he was taking reps second team and throwing good balls. But off season, me and him made a point that we're going to go over. We went over to the field probably once or twice a week since it started getting warm out and getting reps, whether it's just me and him there or the entire team there. Just get that chemistry going because we knew it was going to be a big year for both of us. And then we had throw-ins in the mornings. And we did a lot of work in the off season, and that really gained my trust in him. And then he battled a little bit of an injury in August, which led to me playing quarterback for a month, which that's its own story. But he got back and fresh off the injury, kind of messing around with Utica. I don't know if it did anything or not, but still had me warming up at QB.
Okay.
Then he comes in there and lights it up. And I knew he was capable of it. I was talking to him after the game. He said, I've been itching for that moment. I was so ready to go out there and perform. And I'm like, that's our guy.
Are you glad it was him under center and not you?
I liked quarterback, but I also know that I probably should be playing tight end.
You didn't get any extra recruiting offers?
No.
Timing.
I was not that good.
And addition to you, Miles Marshall is, a great running back. He was a first-team All-Ohioan last year. I can't expect you to speak for your quarterback, but that's a nice security blanket to have. I would think, to having a couple guys that you don't have to do everything, I guess.
Yeah. And not just those two guys. We had I think 4 different people score, and 2 of them, it was the first time ever scoring on varsity Friday. So we got weapons all over the field, and I think that's a nightmare trying to game plan for us, and that's always been our style of offense. Is we're going to put as many formations, as many motions, put people in different spots, give it to everybody as we can, and we trust our playmakers to go make plays, no matter who it is.
I don't know everything about your high school career, but I know you had Chioke Bradley lining up beside, and Charles Fountain. It would be nice to have. I'm assuming it's reassuring to have weapons like that around.
Sure. For a quarterback, it's a dream to be able to hand the ball off and have weapons in the backfield, and then have a guy who's a sure-handed guy and a deep ball threat. It makes life easy for a quarterback. Have a sure-handed guy and have big-time playmakers on your offense. It makes life easy for your quarterback. And the thing about playing on teams with playmakers, it's nice to have guys that are, and I know people are going to get mad, but I call them coaches' sons. That know everything. They know all the plays.
Sure.
They're going to be where they're supposed to be. But they a lot of times they don't have that, explosive ability is nice. But when you got big time playmakers and can get the ball, when they get their ball in their hands, they can go the distance at any moment. Those are the types of players that change games offensively, and that's what's nice when you're a quarterback.
I would imagine so. Now, I saw you at the KMAC track tournament, track meet, and you looked bigger in the spring than you did last fall when we had you in here, and tonight you look bigger than you did 3 months ago when I saw you. Is that a devotion to the weight room, or is that just the natural progression? We sometimes forget that even major college recruits at the high school level are kids who are still growing. Have you spent a lot of time in the weight room here?
Yeah, no, weight room's been, that's part of my life, and it's been for a long time.
Okay.
And I wasn't given a goal weight or anything, but as long as I'm putting on good weight and I can still move and I still feel fast, if not faster, while I'm putting on muscle, that's the best case scenario. And we had a new addition to our team and a coaching staff, and he also is a strength and conditioning coach.
Okay.
And over summer, he's been giving us some of those lifts and just getting in school. We got the class, and he's in there working the class and doing some good lifts with that. Got me and 2 of my teammates. We were hitting the gym every day all summer. So, and
Nice.
was eating pretty well too. So that helps.
How big are you right now? I think they list you at 6'4". Is that about right?
Yeah, I've been measured 6'5" pretty consistently recently. So I'm saying 6'5", and then about 240.
That seems to be like that's a pretty decent sized high school Division 6 high school tight end.
Absolutely.
Let's kind of set aside the physical piece. How have you evolved as do you take the leadership piece a lot more seriously now that you're a senior?
Yeah, definitely. I remember last time I was in here, I was talking how my role was a little different just because I was kind of sitting back and the seniors were taking over a lot, and I would say what needed to be said when it was my time. But this year, just being upperclassmen and I mean, I'm not trying to say it in an arrogant way, but I mean, I have a bigger platform, so a lot of people look up to me, and I understand that, and I take that as a blessing, and I do my best to, like I said last year, like I want to do my my role and live my life in a way that people without me talking can see and follow that way. But I've also picked up the role of being one of the bigger vocal leaders on the team, and helping people inside and out of football.
Is that something do you like doing it?
Yeah, for sure. And I can definitely see myself, and I think the Florida staff can see myself doing that down the road there too.
How is we talk to guys all the time, and most of the kids we have in here are guys who were good enough to play early in their careers. Has the game? A lot of kids will tell us that it's slowed down a lot for them over the years. How has the game changed for you a little bit here?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I've always heard that too, and then as I'm getting older, I'm starting to see it. It really does slow down. You get smarter, you get more comfortable out there on the field, and I just see things differently now. I think that's a really good way of explaining it, and I think quarterback helped me a lot too, because now I definitely understand what everything going on.
Sure.
And it's really nice that the work that I've put in the weight room physically, but also the mental work and preparation that I've put in. Learning the game of football and film, watching defenses, going through practice, asking tons of questions is one of the most underrated things a player can do. And just between all that, I can understand how my guy that's defending me or I'm trying to block is going to play this play, and how I can use my abilities, whether that's my size or my speed, depending on who I'm going against, to beat them, and still all while running the scheme that we're trying to run.
Right. Is there a greater sense of urgency for you now that you're a senior? I mean, it's the end at the high school level is not too far down the road here. I mean, do you feel like it's now or never for you at this level?
As in like development?
Yeah, not so much that, but just, I mean, I guess what are expectations for you? I mean, you guys won a championship last year. I mean, what do you want to accomplish before you go on to Gainesville?
Yeah, of course. I think as myself, I just want to keep bettering myself as a leader and as a person, and I want to be as mentally strong and obviously as physically as strong as I can going into January when I get down there. But team-wise, I think we're as good, if not better, as we were last year. So I think we're going to go compete for a conference title again, and go for a run in the playoff. And biggest thing I want out of my team is that we don't shy away from adversity, and that we are going to stay consistent and locked in week by week and deep into the playoffs. And
last 2 years, you guys have lost to the eventual regional champ and the state semifinalist, Northmore 2 years ago, Colonel Crawford last. Why not you? Why can't it be you guys this year, I guess, is the approach, huh?
Exactly.
Well, good. That's gonna wrap it up. We got some 2-minute drill questions here for you. We're gonna hit you hard with Florida Gators stuff.
Oh man!
All right, here we go. How many national championships has Florida won?
3.
Okay, and when was the most recent?
2008.
Okay, who was the? No, that's absolutely right.
Tebow time.
Do we know who the coach of the 2006 and 2008 teams were?
It was Urban Meyer.
It was Urban Meyer. I know you're not from what I've read, you're not a huge Ohio State fan. Huh?
I mean, I grew up liking Ohio State, but just as my recruiting has started, I've kind of taken myself away from rooting for a team.
Okay, right on. And Zach spoiled it. Who was the quarterback of the 2008 national championship Florida team?
Tim Tebow.
And you're a guy who is never shy. I mean, you've always kind of worn your faith on your sleeve, and I would imagine he's a guy you kind of look up to.
Oh yeah, huge role model. I mean, on the field and off. I mean, super tough guy. Love the weight room, great leader, and then off the field, I mean, he has the night to shine. And his Tim Tebow Foundation and all the stuff that he's doing for people off the field now that he's using his platform for. I mean, that's something that I want to do down the road, and he's a huge motivator for that.
Right. How about the 2006 game? Who did Florida beat in the 2006 game?
Ohio State.
They beat the brakes off the Buckeyes. Florida plays its home games at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. What's it more commonly known as?
The Swamp.
It is the Swamp, indeed.
These are kind of softballs, Curt.
I know. How's your Gator chomp? You guys, you practiced your Gator chomp already?
Oh yeah, right over left.
See, none of us in here would have known that.
No, I didn't know that
Now, you told us last year you wanted to, when football ends, you wanted to be a dentist. Is that still kind of the game plan right now?
Yep, I've picked my major for Florida as biology.
Okay, I was going to ask. Well, I would imagine there's not a pre-dentistry major, so you got to kind of. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, what's the perfect ending of your high school career look like?
State championship MVP.
Absolutely.
And how do you want the folks in Centerburg to remember at Jackson Ballinger during his time there?
Something that I made a point in this off season is I don't want to be remembered for what I did on the field. I want to be remembered for how I impacted the players on my team and the community. I mean, whether that's a memory from football, like how I had a good character while I'm playing the game, or something that I did for somebody off the field. I want that to be the memory of me, because at the end of the day, that's far more important than the game.
That is
Nice.
couldn't be any better said. That's gonna wrap it up for us here in week 1 of the 2026 football season. Jackson Ballinger was our guest. We certainly appreciate you coming up, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck here going forward.
Thank you.
Good luck, Jackson.
Thank you, guys.